All right, guys, we just got done watching that complete bleep show of a game and a bad showing by the Boise State Broncos. This is my first time going live and doing a reaction. So thank you all for joining on. We probably won't get too many views live, and that's okay. We're just trying something new, and if people want to watch this later, great. If anybody does jump on, we'll be excited to chat with them. But overall, just wanted to give my overall thoughts. This might be a therapeutic session for myself as well as maybe anybody who watches this, because yeah, that was a pretty disappointing game, and some things that I said out loud and texted to people close to me. I'll try to temper those down a little bit and try to be a little bit more productive, but also still critique what we just saw there, because yeah, just a poor game. I mean, we'll jump into a little bit of the recap, go over some of the grades of how people have done, but just as an overall feeling, it really felt like it was just outcoached and outclassed the entire game. And one thing that Boise will have to deal with this entire season, especially if some of these losses continue to pile up, is how much did Ashton Jeanty really carry this team last year? Because after watching that show, especially on offense and especially looking at the coaching, you might have to ask yourself did Ashton just cover up a lot of deficiencies? And does Spencer Danielson owe Ashton Jeanty a big fat part of his new raise and paycheck for getting so far last year and giving him some job stability? Does Madsen owe Jeanty a huge, big thank you for allowing him to keep the starting job while, we let Taylon Green go, and we let, I shouldn't say we. I'm not a part of this program. I'm just a fan and someone who's watched this team for a while now. But, Madsen might owe Ashton a big thank you for allowing him to keep his starting job while the administration and coaching staff let Taylon Green walk to a Power 5 program, while we let Malachi Nelson walk, formerly a number one. But devil's advocate, if those individuals can't beat Maddox Madsen out, then maybe we're just being overly emotional in this one. So for those who didn't watch it, it was really a sloppy game to start out with. And really the first drive typified what this game was all about. Boise got the ball first, looked crisp at the beginning, was marching down the field, got to a long third down, and a short slant to new running back transfer from Fresno State. Passed it over to Malik Sherrod. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, Sherrod. The numbers here that I'm looking at are not accurate for some reason. But, passed a short slant to Sherrod, who then fumbled the ball. And so a scoring opportunity left on the field, which is frustrating to come out of the gate, brand new season. But things were still looking good. South Florida, next drive, coming up with a high-paced offense, but did absolutely nothing. It was two quick wide receiver screens that went for negative yards, and then maybe even a third wide receiver screen. So immediately, the South Florida offense goes backwards. They're forced to punt, goes to the Broncos, who now have the ball, and goes 7 plays down the field. Just following this up on making sure I don't miss anything. But head down the field, get to the South Florida 30-yard line, is faced with a 4th and 3. And Madsen can't complete a pass to Sire Gaines. And so then it's turnover on downs. I don't know the kicking situation all that well. I don't know. That would have been a 47-yard field goal. I also understand at that point in time, maybe you just want to go for it, get some big momentum. But again, that turnover on downs swung the momentum back to South Florida. However, the next drive, defense is looking solid, man. They are flying around, they're doing well, and it's another 3 and out by oh wait, no, sorry. I had my drives backwards. That's yeah, it didn't look right. Sorry, that turnover on downs was the last drive of the game. So no, the second Bronco drive was just a three and out. Didn't do anything, got 1 yard, punted it over to South Florida. But again, the defense was out flying. They were playing well. Really, they were just trying to get Brown from the Florida quarterback who was injured a lot last year, trying to get him rolling. The broadcast was sort of saying that he needed to wake up, which I thought was unfair because I felt like the play calling for South Florida on offense was really terrible at the beginning. But again, they get 4 plays and then they're punting it out to the Broncos. Broncos get good field position, starting out at the 38-yard line. So not the greatest punt. And so they have it in great field position, drive down. But even though they scored a touchdown on that drive, it was pretty sloppy once they got it all the way to the goal line. Then they had like a false start, just really didn't look crisp. And on a 3rd and 5, though, Maddox hits their new wide receiver Marshall for a 5-yard slant, and you thought, okay, here we go. Now the Broncos are going to start playing like they were supposed to, and sort of take over. And then things just kind of felt eerie and weird in the second quarter. You get to the Broncos it was like a 3rd and 20 or something like that on the next drive, and then the secondary just lets up and they complete a 37-yard pass, bomb it down the field, and that gives them life, and they end up getting a field goal out of that drive. Another poor offensive showing on the next drive by the Broncos. They negative 2-yard run, then an incompletion, then a pretty good 15-yard pass. I'll admit, Maddox hit in really tight window, gets it over to Caples for a 15-yard pass to extend the drive. But then after that, they go nowhere. Madsen ends up throwing a 4-yard pass on a 3rd and 10, and they are forced to punt. And so they punt it to South Florida, 7-3. Okay, we haven't played the best, most crisp way that they could play. But the defense is still, other than that one 37-yard bomb, they're playing pretty well. And another big moment in the game, on a 3rd down, there's a sack, and the game the drive should be over. It's done. And then I can't remember his name right now. Adams, I think, is his last name, or Bates. That's who it is. Bates inexplicably throws the quarterback down. If I was as a Boise State fan in that moment, I'm like, oh, that's soft. But if I was a Florida fan, I'm like, of course that is a late unnecessary roughness, just unnecessary. Throws him down. It's a 15-yard penalty that extends the drive, and you could just see the defense deflated after that. It wasn't that long until, it wasn't long until it was a 10-yard run after that. 37-yard pass down the middle, another 5-yard pass. They even do get them to a 3rd and 10. Again, time to get off the field, but Brown just is able to scamper for a 23-yard gain, truck Boise State, and now all of a sudden it's a 10-7 game. Boise State, again, here we go. It's time to kind of get our act in gear. They start driving. They have a good drive with some good runs that they're chunking. Gaines is having good runs. I felt like Gaines was the better overall running back. I felt like he had a little bit more power, hit the holes a lot better. Sherrod does show some shiftiness to him, but there were also other times where he would hit a cutback too soon and end up losing a bunch of yards. He didn't have a ton of help from the offensive line, but still, there were some times where I felt like he was trying to do a little bit too much. Madsen hits Lauder for a nice 31-yard gain to get it into South Florida territory. They're sitting with 1st and 10 on the South Florida 11. Go backwards with a false start penalty. Now it's 2nd and 15, and then they hit Sire Gaines, or Gaines hits a run, starts to run, and it's punched out by South Florida. A good play on the ball, but again, another miscue by the offense and another deflation, and really another drive stalled. So we're sitting at 10-7. South Florida, the defense steps up. South Florida can't get anything going. If they have a 3-and-out, they have to punt. They punt it down to Boise. Boise playing with 1st and 10 on their own 23. It was a good – South Florida did play a good field position game. Even though they had to start at their own 11, punting it and getting it all the way down to the 23 is pretty impressive. Boise tries to drive, but it gets stalled again with more penalties, delay of games, false starts, and that 23. Just looking at the review, I'm like, oh, how did this? Yeah, so they actually were able to get it into South Florida territory, but then with going backwards in penalties, they were faced with a 4th and 15 on the South Florida 46. They punch it in, this is the one where that just really poor time management, honestly. I don't know if they were just afraid to give South Florida the ball back, but really just poor management. They started out with some runs. I understand you don't want to go a 3-and-out and give South Florida the ball back with a lot of time left, but really just not playing aggressive, playing like, oh, we can just score points whenever we want, and it's totally fine. Really disappointed with the mismanagement. I think a lot of that was on coaching. Some of it was on Madsen, but they ended up punting it away. Don't even go for it on 4th down. I can kind of see where you're at midfield with 20 seconds left. You don't really want to give them. All they need is a 15-yard out or a 20-yard, play. And now all of a sudden they're in field goal position, but really just kind of a dud end to the half. So we go into the half, Boise down by 3, not really playing to their potential. But you think that really Boise's the better team and they're playing better. And this is when the wheels fall off. And I'm looking at the time. I'm already at 13 minutes. I don't want to make this too long. But really another play of the game. South Florida gets some field position, but then they're forced to punt. Boise State goes 8 yards backwards, and they actually get to their own 1. And so now they're pinned back. They have to punt. It's only a short 50 yards. Defense steps up again, though, and they get a stop. South Florida has the ball. Basically, have gone backwards on that drive, and special teams coach doesn't realize that, or anybody on the special teams doesn't realize that the backup quarterback goes in for the punter. Fake punt, 48-yard touchdown pass. That really opens the game up, 17-7. But I don't even think that was really the end of the game, because Boise comes back. They're driving. They get all the way down to, I want to say it was like the 20 or 30-yard line of South Florida. They get it all the way down to the 23. So they're faced with 4th and 2 at the 23. I get it. Maybe Spencer Danielson has trust in his offense. He thinks that they're going to do well. He thinks that but the way that the offense has just been playing, it just seems like everything was just so hard to gain. And you're fighting this momentum from South Florida. And 4th and 2, rather than kick a field goal, get some points on the board, get some momentum back, make it a 1-score game, they decide to go for it. They don't get it. And it's ball game at that point in time. The defense is deflated. You can kind of feel like they gave up. Florida drives down the field with a 55-yard touchdown pass. And it's lights out, and it's the game over. And we kind of know the rest after that. The ending score, 34-7, South Florida. And really what I wanted to end the last 5 minutes on this is like, what did we learn? What was the result? And where do we go from here? Because really disappointing showing by Boise. you really thought that maybe they would be out and give that self-inflicted chip on their shoulder of like, we are more than just Ashton Genty. That's what the broadcast even said, that Sire Gaines had said. And really, it's not anything on him. I felt like he played an okay game, but other than the fumble. But if I was to give like a report card on all of these different positions, first of all, let's talk about quarterback play. Madsen, terrible game. I'd give him a D minus. When you look at when you look at the box score, he didn't throw any picks, but 25 for 46. I don't know why the coaching staff the game plan was to have him throw it so much. Even before they fell behind and even before the running game was starting to get stopped, they just were passing it way too much. And really, I was maybe in the minority of like, I don't know if I'm totally sold on Madsen as the quarterback. Like, I just don't think he's really got a ton of good arm strength. It seems like it takes a lot of effort to get some of those hard throws in there. And really it showed too here that if he took his 5-step drop and maybe he was maybe you would say it's a good thing he's making quick decisions and just choosing to use his legs. But he did extend the pocket a couple of times, but then there were just some times where I felt like he just kind of freaked out and then had inaccurate throws all over the place. That's just not going to get it done. And it's really sad that, where you think that with this offseason, you would hope that he really would be forming into this polished, stable quarterback and he could really put the team on his back, but he really didn't. So I give quarterback play a D minus on this game. When we look at the running backs, again, I would give them a D plus. It's hard to replace Genty. I don't know if you're gonna be able to replace Genty. You're not going to be able to. He's a once in a lifetime player. But the fumbles by both Sherrod and Sire Gaines were really sort of backbreaking plays when they could have put their foot on the throat of South Florida early and go up 21-3, and instead those fumbles led to a 10-7 game instead. So really that's disappointing. Offensive line, I'd give them a D plus. They really didn't help the running backs all that much. There wasn't really a whole lot of running room to go on. Pass blocking, I don't really blame them too much. I feel like Madsen had some time to throw. I don't think he was running for his life out there. I think they did okay there. And especially it's hard when now all of a sudden you're behind by a bunch of points and they're really keying off on that. Honestly, actually, now that I'm looking at some of like the turnover, Madsen, sorry, I'm actually giving you you're getting an F. Those fumbles. I know some of them were in like garbage time, but like even in garbage time, you're driving down the field and you're just rolling out and the ball just comes out of your hands. That's unacceptable. He looks like a fool out there, and it makes Boise just look bad. I don't know how else to say it. So F by quarterback. As far as defense goes, I feel like it was hard. I feel like they didn't play well. I would actually give the defense I would give them a solid C. It's the secondary really struggled at times. They let those big plays happen. They let themselves get trucked by the quarterback too many times. I think the D-line actually played well to start the game too. Really, I don't fault the defense too much on what happened here. I think when you look at what the offense was doing and how they were letting the team down, really it's just the floodgates kind of just started opening, and I really don't blame them for kind of just letting it down, letting things get out of hand. Other than Bates, I'd give him, if I was to rate him singly, he did poorly in coverage. He had that backbreaking penalty that extended the drive, so he gets a D, maybe even an F. but also, but no turnovers either. So that's, disappointing that they couldn't get any turnovers off of that. They did get that nice stop on that fourth down, so I guess that's considered a turnover. But overall, just a meh game from Boise. I think they're going to get eaten alive by really solid offensive teams. I really don't think South Florida, kudos to them for winning, but I really don't think that was like a potent offense that they were facing. And they showed it when they were doing well, but um, they also you showed that they have some holes. Boise does, anyways. As far as special teams, I give them a B plus. I mean, there wasn't really anything that they did. They didn't miss any field goals or extra points or anything like that. I felt like the punting was fine. Um, the fact that they didn't trust the punter with some of these plays, I don't know if that's because they don't trust I don't know if they trust Boomer or if they were just being arrogant and thought that they could just, succeed on all of these fourth downs. And finally, that leads me to coaching, which I feel like coaching gets a solid F. This was really poorly coached by Danielson. He did not have this team ready to play. He did not have this team disciplined. I get it. You're going to have some. You're going to have some. You're going to have some mistakes with false starts. You're playing on the road. You're playing across the country. It's the first game of the season. You can kind of live with those and understand, but also you didn't have this team mentally prepared. As soon as adversity hit, everyone folded like a tent. Not very many people could step up. I was impressed with the interior defensive line. I feel like they'll be able to get some good pressure, and I think with the transition the transfer Latu from BYU, I think will be super. I think he will make an impact. But coaching again, just really disappointed. I think, Danielson being a defensive coach, he did okay on the defensive side, but they really miss. I don't know if you can, say that it's the new offensive coordinator, but I think there was a lot of play action when they were down by a bunch or when the running game wasn't going. So really, you were just fake handing it off for no reason. The play designs on fourth down, I felt like were very predictable, and then really also too just the gameplay management. The end of the half, the last 2 minutes of the last drive was really inefficient, really sloppy. The decision to go for it on 4th and 2 when you could have kicked a field goal to make it a 1-score game just felt like they were pressing a lot and playing with a little bit of arrogance, and it bit them in the butt. Also, the special teams coach, I guess that's where the special team, maybe I don't give them a B, but I think that's more on coaching. So special team gets a C, D because of that fake punt return. I don't know what I was thinking giving them a higher one, but that's special team coaching. How do you not notice that the punter is not out there on the field and call a timeout? That's unacceptable, even in a first game, and that really blew the game open. So yeah, a lot of frustrating feelings from this. Where does this leave Boise State? That's the hard part about college football. As a Boise State fan, there's a higher expectation that we want the team to go to the playoffs. We want the team to compete at the highest level, and also we want this team to be able to eventually play with the big boys. And this was just a showcasing on the opening night. Obviously not the opening night of the college season, but one of the main nights of the college football season, the week 1, and you throw this out and just completely get annihilated and look outclassed. That's why, again, I've said it before, I really hate preseason rankings because I didn't think that this team was a top 25 team. And I'm not saying, and I'm not speaking for the Boise State football players and coaches. I can't tell you what exactly they were thinking and feeling, but I do know that if they weren't ranked in the top 25, there would be a giant chip on their shoulder, and maybe they would have played with a little bit more fire and intensity. But this team was not a top 25 team. It showed it there, and I don't know what they're doing scheduling these across the country road games in week 1 of the season. in last year when they played Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is a good football team, and they have been playing solid G5 schools ever since they started playing in FBS. But and so they gave Boise State a really solid game last year, and I think it was because of the whole going across the country, playing on the road in the humidity, and playing an unknown opponent. So I don't know, maybe we need to stop scheduling away games right at the beginning across the country, especially if it's not a high profile game like the years past when they were playing Georgia, Virginia Tech, and those sort of schools. Like why, like Boise State is a blue blood program now, or at least it's been acting like it is. Why can't they schedule opening home games against these types of caliber opponents? Maybe it's coming in the next couple of years, but not doing any favors for Boise State this year. And that's the hard part is like what is left for this team. As a fan, I would hope that people would still continue to watch them and cheer and support them. I myself have been guilty of saying, oh, this season's over, I guess I'll just phone it in. And I don't want to be a bandwagon fan. I do want to at least support them. It obviously puts a severe damper on any sort of playoff hopes, because this obviously makes you think that there's no way they're going to beat Notre Dame. So they're going to be at least a 2-loss team, even if they run the table, which looking at this performance, that's not even a given. UNLV looked sloppy against Idaho State, but who knows? They might turn it around, and now they are napping at the heels and might, look to overtake Boise. So it's not even guaranteed they're going to win the Mountain West. And so really that's kind of what you have to shoot for as a fan now is, continue to support this team. Hopefully they'll get better and learn from this. And who knows, you're going to need to cheer for chaos. And that's what makes college football frustrating, but also fun at the same time. Who knows, really what I'm looking forward to seeing is to see how this team responds. It would still be good to leave the Mountain West on a dominant fashion of taking the conference championship and leaving the Mountain West with a trophy. So really disappointing game. I've rambled for 28 minutes now. Just wanted to kind of give my overall thoughts and let you all know. Let me know how you felt about this game. Obviously, there's kind of try to keep it still keep it civilized, keep it, try to keep it optimistic, but it's okay if it all kind of seems downer right now. But let me know how you thought of the game. Let me know what you think what changes need to be made. Feel free to drop in your grades for each of the positions here, but another disappointing loss, or I wouldn't say another disappointing loss. Obviously, this is the first game of the season, but just a disappointing loss. And it's sad to see that really the fall from Ashton Jeanty was quite hard. So, thanks again for watching, y'all. Feel free to comment. And if you like this content, feel free to subscribe. Until later, guys, we'll check you out on the next video.